So today we are going to model the animated snow. So in the viewport, first we'll delete these defaults, select them all and delete. I'll turn on my screencast keys so that you can clearly see what I'm pressing. So here the first thing is that we are going to model the snowflakes. You can keep them simple or you can also model them as those star-shaped snowflakes, but we'll start with the simple one. So in the viewport, we'll press Shift A, and in the mesh, we'll add an icosphere. Then we'll go to the edit mode, we'll change its shape. If I'll select a vertex and grab it, it's not seems good. So I'll turn on my proportional editing from here, or you can simply press O for that. Now if I'll grab a vertex, you can see, you can scroll your mouse wheel to change its shape. Then we'll back to the object mode. I'll duplicate it one more time along y-axis. I'll scale it down, and here you can see I have two different shapes, and if you want one more variant you can duplicate it by pressing Shift D, and here we go. I'll scale it up, go to the edit mode, I'll change its shape. Okay, so here you can see we have three different variants of the snow. I'll show you how to model that star like shape later, but first we'll add some material to them. So with this selected, here first we'll go to the world properties. I'm going to add an HDRI. For that we'll go to the environment texture. We'll select the HDRI. I'm selecting this. You can download that from the polyhaven.com for free. So after adding this, we'll go to the render view. Here you can see the HDRI. I'm increasing its strength to 1.3. Okay, so now with this selected, we'll go to the shading tab. Now here we are going to add some material to this. So we'll add a new material. We'll rename it as snow. Okay, so next we'll add a noise texture over here. We'll press Shift A and search for noise texture. We'll map this vector to the base color. And now with this noise texture selected, first we'll check for the node wrangler add-on here. In the add-ons, we'll search for node wrangler, enable this. Now with this noise texture selected, we'll press Ctrl T for these mapping nodes. Now I'll map this object to the vector, and from here you can change the amount of scale. I'll keep this value up to 1.4. I'll increase this detail value up to 10. Okay, so now here in between this noise texture and principal BSTF, I'm going to add a bump node. Place it over here, map this normal to the normal and this vector to the height. I can't see any difference over here, so we'll change this distance value, and there we go. We'll keep this base color white. If we want to keep it shiny, you can decrease its roughness, but I'll keep it 0.6. Okay, so we'll add the same material to both of them. So select this, add this snow to this and this. So back to the layout, and here we don't want that HDRI in the background, so for that we'll go to the render. Here I'm going to this fill and turn on this transparent. I can only see the snowflakes. It's quite nice. We will keep this as transparent so that we can use it as an overlay to other videos. So now we'll select all of them, we'll press M and create a separate collection for them. So rename it as snow, and there we go. Here you can see the collection. So after modeling the snowflakes and adding material to them, after this we'll just hide them from the viewport from here. And the next thing is we are going to add a plane over here by pressing Shift A, and we'll scale it up, we'll grab it up, and the next thing is we are going to add a camera. So press Shift A, add a camera, and for adjusting the camera view we'll press Ctrl Alt number 0. We'll grab it up. Okay, before that, if I'll come out of the camera view, I'll grab this plane along x-axis and place it over here. Okay, now I'll just scale it up, grab it up, and place it over here. If you want to adjust the view from your camera, you can simply press N, and here in the view you can select this camera to view, zoom in, grab it up, adjust your camera view, and then just turn this off. Okay, after that, with this plane selected, we'll go to the particle properties. We'll create a new particle system here. We'll rename it later, but for now, if I'll hit the space bar, you can see the particles are falling down, but they are round in shape. And here, instead of these, we want the snowflakes that we have modeled earlier, which is the snow. So for that, here we'll go to the render, and here instead of this we'll select the collection, and we'll add our collection over here that we have created, the snow. Add it, and here you can see that we have successfully added the snowflakes that we have modeled. Now you can see the size. If you want to adjust their size, you can adjust it from here. If I increase this, but I'll keep this value up to 0.4 or 0.05. We'll also increase this scale randomize value to 0.6, but here you can see that they are falling quite straight, and we don't want that. So to solve this, we'll check this rotation, and here in the rotation we'll keep all these values to max like this. We'll check this dynamic, and now if you can see here in the angular velocity, we'll increase this value up to 3.0. Next thing is, it's still quite fast, so here in the field weights we'll decrease this value to 0.1. And one more thing, that if you don't want this plane while you render it, so for that we'll uncheck the show emitter. So when you render your animation, this is not visible over there. Okay, now if you can see, when we decrease its gravity value, then it's not falling down. So to solve that, here we'll go to the velocity. We want this to be fall down along z-axis, so for that here we'll increase this value, and it's going up, but we want this to be down, so we'll keep this value up to -3, and Here you can see it's falling down. Here we'll decrease this normal value to 0. Okay, seems good. And the next thing is that we'll increase this randomized value so that they will fall down quite randomly instead of that straight. Okay, so it seems nice. Now from here you can see these values. If you want to increase the number of snow particles, so you can change this value up to 1500, and there we go. And here you can see the start and the end frame, the lifetime value, that how long these particles will last. If I'll decrease this value to 10, here you can see it's, and if I'll keep this value up to 100, then you will see the difference, that they will fall down to this very end or quite long. It's not visible. I'll keep this value up to 80. Okay, seems quite nice. It's still quite fast. So to solve that, we'll go to the physics, and here in the integration we'll change this time step value to 0.02, and now you can see it's falling quite naturally, a natural snowfall. Okay, it seems nice. Now here you'll notice one thing, that it will end at this frame 250 and there is a gap, so we don't want that. And to solve this, we'll create a loop animation. So for that, here we'll select this plane in the particle system. First we'll rename it as particle system 1 and the particle settings 1. Now we'll create a new particle system over here. We'll rename it as particle system 2, and here we don't want this, and instead of that we'll select the particle settings 1, the same settings that we have done for this. Now we'll duplicate it from here. Okay, after the duplication, we are going to set the start or the end frame. First we'll go to the particle system 1. Here I'm going to keep this end frame up to 250, and then we'll go to the particle system 2. Here you can see I'll rename it as particle settings 2, and with this selected, here we are going to change its start or the end frame. Here I'll keep the start frame to negative 250, and the start frame end frame is 1. Okay, now if you'll see, I'll play this. So it's quite nice. We have successfully created the loop animation. Now the next thing is, here we'll go to the render settings. We'll change this to cycles. Here we'll select our GPU. We'll check this denoise button. We'll check this motion blur. Here we'll go to the color management. We'll keep this to filmic, look to very high contrast. And then before that, we'll back to the particle settings here, and we'll bake it first. So we'll select this particle system 1 in the cache. We'll bake We'll go to the particle system 2. In the cache, we'll make it this 2. And then we'll go to the render settings. Here we've changed the settings. They're quite nice. We'll check this motion blur too. Here in the samples, we'll keep these samples up to 32 and here these up to 45 so that they will render fast. And here in the light path, we'll keep all these values 0. And here in the clamping, we'll also make these values 0. Uncheck these and keep these values 0 too. Now we'll go to the output here, frame per second, and from here you can select the folder in which you want to save the file and keep these settings up like that, file format png, and that's it. Now I just need to go to here and click on render animation. Hope you enjoy the tutorial. Thanks for watching.